All right, here we go. Let us get into Spiderman into the Spiderman verse.
Sure. That's
Spider-Man
definitely what it's called. Into the Spiderverse.
Yeah, okay.
Not Spider-Man verse.
This is it's kind of a review. It's just us talking about it, but it's
Spoilers.
spoiler alert. But regardless, it's a movie that we kind of put off, unfortunately, but then we finally watched it the other day. What did you not like about it?
What did I not like about it? We're going to start there? Okay.
Just get the negativity
The animation, the art style, and the decisions that they made with like kind of mixing in the comic book bubbles and stuff like that, and comic
Like shading,
text. Shading too. The whole art style and the text that they added in alongside, or like the thought bubbles with like actual text on the screen, stuff like that. That was great. It was really unique. I thought that was really well thought out and put together. What I didn't like was I thought that the frame rate was too low. You know, when you're like a little kid and you like, when you first figured out that if you draw a bunch of pictures on like a series of paper, then like you flip through it really quickly and like, oh, we made a cartoon, you know, like whatever. It felt like they were flipping through the pages too slow. Like the frame rate was jarring to me. And you, like we were talking about this when we got out of the theater, that you thought that maybe that was the way it was intended, and like I didn't like it. Maybe that was the way it was intended, but it was jarring to me. It was like it was skipping frames, where like, I mean, to the point where it didn't feel to me like characters' mouths matched what they were saying, and like the motion was just like skipping, like the motion wasn't smooth at times. It was more noticeable at sometimes than others. So like that was something that kind of pulled me out of it. What else didn't I like? I didn't like their decision with how they animated Wilson Fisk. I thought it was really out of place for considering like how they went about designing everyone else and all the other characters. I think that like Wilson Fisk just like didn't fit in that. It felt like they pulled him from a different animated movie.
I think they pulled him from like
it looked kind of like Despicable Me.
no, what's it called? The dude like Kingpin from the Spider-Man anime series in the 90s. He's just bigger than everyone. So I get why they did that. In a way, I didn't have that kind of just like what you're saying right now. But I understand it. Anything else?
I don't think so. I really liked this movie. I don't have a whole lot of problems with it. I don't have like any big problems with it. Maybe when you're talking, it'll remind me of something, but right now I can't think of like anything that I like didn't like about it.
Damn, Jacob, you're gonna say that in my face.
What?
Okay. Things I didn't like. I didn't like it a lot. I didn't have a problem with it. My eyesight is already bad as it is, regardless. So I understood why you like the. I guess I would have to like go back and like actually look at it, or maybe even watch a couple of interviews of like the animators that talk about it. But I didn't have too much of a problem. My problem was like when it got too bright. Sometimes that's when I was like, you know what I mean? Like your brain just like.
Can we get that one more time? Okay, thanks.
But you have to like watch the video to like, get that. Yeah, like where my eyes were just blasted. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a weird story regardless, but it's a comic book movie, like an actual comic book movie, because it's animated and they can get away with a lot of stuff, which I'm fine with. But yeah, I didn't really have too much problems with like way they animated everyone. It was nice that they included like a bunch of just Spider-Man villains. The story between Miles Morales and his uncle, I really enjoyed. Not that I didn't see that coming, but I was not thinking of that. That was interesting. It was kind of interesting to see his like relationship between him and his dad. But like that wasn't like a negative thing. Yeah, I didn't really have too much of a problem, I guess. I wish maybe there was like a little bit more interaction between him and his mom. Because Miles Morales is like, I'm not saying like, oh, I want to see more Hispanic people, but like I like when Hispanic moms are just Hispanic moms and I think that they probably missed a couple opportunities on that, like for some more laughs. But then, yeah, I didn't really have too much of a problem. This was like probably, I think this comes back into like my top 5 movies of the year, actually. For me.
I think it definitely has a chance of getting in there for me. I think that they handled the fact that there were a lot of characters in this movie really well. There weren't too many instances where you needed any more background information or anything, even for like the other Spidey characters. Everything was pretty well fleshed out. There are a whole bunch of different callbacks to like various things. I mean, like the movie opens with like Peter Parker, and it has all these flashbacks to like the live action Spider-Man movies. Scenes from like the upside down kiss and like the bridge save and like the train, him stopping the train, like all these different things. The voice acting was really good. Chris Pine, Jake Johnson, Haley Steinfeld, Nick Cage, John Mulaney. They're all
I think
these.
Mahershala Ali was in this, right?
Yeah, he was Prowler.
Uncle?
He was Prowler. Yeah.
Which is like, that was the other movie.
Yeah. So there was just I'm blanking on the guy's name who was actually Miles. I don't think I actually knew what his name was before
it was like a
this
kid or something like that. I don't know.
In any case, the acting is good across the board. The story is pretty good. I think it was there is at least one character in this, probably for most people 2 characters that are like directly relatable for most people. I like the way that they handled the, spoiler alert here, the 2 different Peter Parkers. Chris Pine obviously being like the first one that
to totally differentiate both of them, which I thought was like kind of cool. You just have 2 different actors.
Yeah.
Or voice actors.
And there were there's also like 10 years between them, and like they've been through different things in life, and it was a good, like all of their interactions with each other were great. How it like kept coming back. It would like it introduced the first Spider-Man, and then you like have that short little bit of story, and then he dies, and then introduces the next Peter Parker when like he comes through the portal or whatever. And then when Gwen is introduced in the fight with Doc Ock, first off, I did not see the Doc Ock thing coming.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting too.
And then like when Gwen comes in, and like it goes back like, and then it goes back to like, it does like a quick synopsis of like her origin and how she got into this world, and like it does that for like every one of them basically. Those were all really good.
I thought this Doc Ock was pretty kinky.
What?
Because like she locked him up. I was like, oh man, this little girl's a little kinky, bro. Like when she put him in that chair real quick, and I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
There were a lot of lots of really good humor in this. Him like picking, he didn't know that he didn't need the monitor. Like he's carrying her, he goes invisible, and he's like carrying the monitor the whole time. He's like, oh, we don't need this. When Peter finally catches up with him.
So what was your favorite parts of the movie?
Favorite parts of the movie. I think that the second Peter Parker with Miles was probably really good. I did, although like he didn't have too many lines. It wasn't in it too much, but I really enjoyed the Spider Noir, the Nick Cage's Spider-Man.
Yeah, Joshua David Evenson. Yeah,
sure, I guess. I think that like he had some just really great lines, and then like the whole Rubik's Cube thing, like that kept coming up. Mm-hmm. That was really good. I don't know. This movie was just, for me, it didn't have highs and lows. Really, like I had problems with the animation. I didn't really like the way they chose to animate Wilson Fisk, but for the most part, like the story is solid, the characters are solid, everyone has a good backstory. There's like not a lot of information missing. Like there's a couple of good twists. There's like it is a solid movie. I don't really think of anything as like a high and low points throughout it. That's just me though.
So, what do you think? Oh, okay. Do you want to go into the next part of it, or?
We can. I mean, do you have like a worst or most favorite part of this movie?
My favorite part, probably when like Miles becomes like Spider-Man. I guess the moment, that and probably the moment he finds out about his uncle. Like those two moments, like whoa, god damn, this movie got me the whole time, dude. It's ridiculous. But yeah, because like usually, because this is a kids movie. Let's be honest. So the kids movie, usually kids movies are pretty predictable. I was so invested while I was watching this, where like they caught me. They're like left hooking me. I was like, it was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't really. I mean, like I liked the whole movie like from start to finish, which is like rare for like animated films.
I really liked how just all the Spidey characters came together to like help fill holes in like each of their lives, kind of. Whereas like the like Miles loses his uncle and like is also like learning to become Spider-Man, and then you have like the second Peter B. There was Peter B. Parker and Peter something else Parker. I forget what the other initial was, and how he's like his relationship with MJ is on the fritz, and like he doesn't want kids, and like they're split. And then like his Aunt May died as well, I think.
Oh, eventually.
Yeah. And so like there were just all these like each one of them had like a unique problem that was like they helped each other solve in like the same universe, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm
it
not
kind
sure
of all comes full circle like when
like
they all go back.
Like a fresh idea on like bringing all these spider people together or Spider-Men together.
But probably I'm not sure about like the comic history, like how much like I know actually I take that back. Well, I mean in the more recent Marvel comics, Peter Parker and Miles have been together.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm talking about like putting like having the idea of like, oh, it's a dimension thing where they bring everyone together kind of in a way.
I'm sure they were pulling from some comic line in the past.
There has to be some kind of reference to it. Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.